Type shit.
No,
What did I fuck with that?
Rimon, yes, please.
No, I was just waving.
Okay.
Yeah, so,
waving. Okay.
what would you like to have like a debate about?
Yeah, whatever you like. So you said about God, whether God exists or something.
Yeah.
I
My friend here, Psyche, right? He's been a Muslim for quite some time now. That
yes.
he's been trying to like what's it called? Debate atheists
Yeah.
and like run his like arguments from like act positions. Are you familiar with like Aristotelian philosophy?
Aristotelian.
Yeah.
Yeah, more or
Aristotle?
less. Yes, yes. But
Like his like his
I'm not treated like gospel. Okay, whatever. I
yeah.
disagree with them sometimes.
Yeah. So so he's been itching to like run like a argument for God, bro. Like
Okay,
could you like critique and give him your thoughts? But,
Yeah.
yo, Lilia, why did you stop screen share? Okay.
It stopped because it stops when the game stops.
Okay, go ahead, Psyche. He's ready.
Yeah. So like my argument for God as a Shia Muslim, since we hold to act potency, you can just say that like what a thing is going to be like truly distinct from like that a thing is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so like if essence is going to be distinct from existence, that exists or comes into existence, meaning being from potentiality. I see you shake your head.
Yes. Let me. Sorry, I didn't understood what you said. So essence, how you can separate essence for existence? Because I will claim that in order for something to exist, it needs to have some kind of essence, no matter how counterintuitive is this essence. So I don't agree that something can exist without essence.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just saying there's a distinction between essence and existence.
Yeah,
right.
More like
a
communication kind of term. Like you mean different things. You communicate different things when you say existence, and you communicate different things when you say essence. Okay, I agree with that.
Okay. So like being in potential, so things that bring about actuality in other beings or other existence to exist, right? This will be a contingent fact.
Yes.
Okay. Going down the route, right? Let's say this cannot happen infinitely, right? Unless it regresses into an infinite regression of like a per se causal series.
Yes.
Okay. So then it must terminate in one purely actual thing.
Yes. Okay.
So this purely actual thing is what we call God. So therefore God exists.
No, because God is not... God has more baggage than just what breaks the infinite regress. Why he needs to be conscious? To break the infinite regress.
Yeah, I mean, this is my argument for God. And what we mean by God is just some type of necessary existence, a purely actual being.
Okay, yes, but...
we can get into like the metaphysics of like, of what, this property bearer has, right? But we're just saying that this thing truly exists. And what this thing is necessary being.
You made a very good argument. It's more like it's the contingency argument, more or less. It's the contingency argument.
Yeah, it's the Dante.
So the contingency argument, so it implies, it first tries to prove that there is the need for a necessary being. Okay, and he gives all these good arguments that you just gave one. So I accept the need for a necessary being. Where I disagree is now prove that this necessary being is God. Because what are the characteristics of a necessary being? He needs to exist forever, inevitably, and could not have been any other way. So now explain to me how a being like God, who is so complex, so peculiar, so purposeful, let's say, something like that, with specific character, with specific qualities and so on, this being just exists forever, inevitably, without explanation. Why you assume that? It doesn't make sense. So
Yeah.
you understand that?
So all we're establishing is that when we say God exists and what we mean by God, all we're saying is what we mean by God is that it is a necessary being that's purely right? I know you want me to get into the properties and what it actually bears. I can get into that, for example, like if this being is going to be purely actual, it must have certain properties, for example, being immutable, eternal, immaterial, perfect, omnipotent, intelligent, etc., right? But this argument doesn't really like hinge on that. All it does is to say is that what we mean by God is that there's some type of necessary being that's going to be purely actual. If this necessary being is purely actual that does exist, then therefore God exists.
Yeah. Okay. So my a counter to that will be like what you are doing now, in fact, is kind of a theological argument. In fact, what you are doing is you have a description from your theology. What are the characteristics of God? And you say, these characteristics fit perfectly with the characteristics of a necessary being. But you are doing theology. You are not giving actual probabilities in cosmology. So you have an arbitrary definition of God. But what I am doing, in fact, is take the characteristics of God and see whether they are actually a good candidate to be the necessary being. Not because I'm not taking the description as a fact. Like you see what I'm saying. So again, try to listen to my argument. When we imagine something always existed without any explanation and could not have been any other way, it existed inevitably. The first thing that comes in mind is nothing. So nothing is intuitive that nothing can exist forever without explanation, inevitably. But why nothing is a good candidate to be this thing? Because it's very simple. Okay, it's just nothing. Okay, obviously it can exist forever. Okay, but the next thing, if you don't have nothing, the next thing is not the most complicated being imaginable. A being that loves Muhammad, that has politics, that has a chin, has a food, he has that he loves humanity, he made the world, he has he's omniscient, conscious, he loves people, he hates people. Okay, so God implies an array of countless characteristics that all that context is not probable to exist forever, inevitably, without any explanation. Is in fact the extreme opposite of this thing. Is the most improbable thing to exist always without explanation. Because he has qualities. He's very peculiar. He's very purposeful. Okay, do you understand the argument? So what actually exists forever inevitably, if we exclude nothing, because from nothing comes, is the next thing is the simplest fundamental form. Okay? You see? Okay,
yeah,
so
bro, yes, bro, I see, bro, you.
So the contingency argument doesn't work very well.
Yeah, it doesn't work very well, man. You're absolutely right.
Yo, Psyche. So, instead of being like, satire, like, can you like actually explain to him like why you still hold to like the contingency argument? Like,
yeah, I explained it to him. It's fine, bro. I'm just saying it's a deductive argument that follows logically that there has to be some type of purely actual thing.